doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Regarding the sanctions over ICC, International Criminal Court's chief, Tomoko Akane, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has just issued a statement, and we find the situation very unfortunate. We will deal with this matter by continuing to communicate with relevant countries, including the United States.
ולמרות שיש לנו היום את הידיד הגדול ביותר שהיה לנו אי פעם בבית הלבן, רבותיי, איבדנו את ארצות הברית, איבדנו את העולם. זה לא נתפס. אחרי שנשחטו לנו פה 1,200 ישראלים בפוגרום, אנחנו בשפל הנורא ביותר של מעמד ישראל בעולם מאז קום המדינה. צריך לעבוד בזה. עכשיו, ישראל לאורך השנים יודעת לבנות מוסדות אל מול איומים. מול הטרור הפלסטיני יש לנו את שב"כ. מול איראן יש לנו את המוסד. מול אויבינו הקרובים יש את צה"ל. מול הקרב הכל כך מכריע לעתיד העם היהודי בארצו, מי יש לנו? מי על זה? מי על זה? מי קמה עכשיו? 12:30, לפני כמה שעות, קם בבוקר ואומר, אני על זה. אין. אין לנו צבא לזה, אין לנו רמטכ"ל לזה, אין לנו כלום. זאת חזית מופקרת. בממשלה הבאה נקים גוף הסברה לאומי תחת משרד ראש הממשלה, כמו שיש 8200 למודיעין, נקים 8300 לתודעה, שייתן פייט לקטר, לאיראן, לשונאי ישראל. לפיד ואני הקמנו מערך מצוין, הם פרקו, אבל הפעם אני מדבר על סטרואידים. ולהחתים את נתניהו על מסמך גמור. כן, זה מה שקרה ב-20 הנקודות. מכירים? כך, תחתום. ושיהיה ברור. אתם יודעים מה הנקודה 19 ב-20 נקודות? מישהו יודע? מסלול למדינה פלסטינית. בסדר? ממשלת העלק ימין, בן גביר, סמוטריץ' וביבי, חתומים על מסמך רשמי שקובע נתיב למדינה פלסטינית. אנחנו כמובן מתנגדים לזה, נצטרך לחלץ אותנו גם מהעוד בור שהם הכניסו אותנו. ביבי לא יכול להרים טלפון לסיסי, תראו איפה נפלנו. נביא נורמליזציה עם סעודיה, עם אינדונזיה, מדינות נוספות. אנחנו נבנה ברית של הכוחות המתונים באזור מול הכוחות האסלאמיסטים, מול איראן, מול קטר, טורקיה וכל הכוחות הרדיקליים. אנחנו ננקוט בפעולות אקטיביות כדי לעצב את האזור, לא נחכה עם חומות שכולם יתאהבו בהם, אלא נצא לעצב את האזור.
In the past, North Korea in the 90s, they, if the leadership then would have taken the right decisions, North Korea wouldn't have nuclear weapons. But President Clinton hadn't done so. He had a military plan, but he hadn't done so. President Trump, with our government headed by Prime Minister Netanyahu, took the decisions on 2025 and this year in order to prevent Iran from having nuclear weapons. It's, of course, for us.
If you want to respond, or we can move on. It's your choice.
That's okay. We'll move on.
Okay, we'll move on. All right. Okay.
Go ahead.
On the national security question as well, Senator, are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States? If so, why?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Are Taiwan and the South China Sea national security issues for the United States, and if so, why or how?
I'm just going to be honest here. I'm not on national security. I'm not that informed on national security. So, but I do support the military. My brother was in the Air Force for 33 years, so I will do everything I can to support the military. My dad was in the Army. I'm not a polished politician up here. National security is not my thing, not my area of expertise, but I do support the military.
Congressman, I'll give you a chance to respond, and I'm sure he recognizes that.
Taiwan's a definite ally, and we have a trading relationship with them that is beneficial to the United States. Chips being one of them, and others. So what the president is doing right is he's enabling Taiwan to defend themselves against China. But it's peace through strength that he's showing with Iran that China, Russia. Others are looking at it so that they don't want to deal with America, and that's why they haven't attacked Taiwan. If they had some weak Democrat in office like Biden or another Obama, yeah, they'd take it over. But we can't let that happen. We got to take a strong, a peace through strength is working.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Thanks for joining us today. Got a lot to go through today. Going to have a big show. It's funny. Every time we talk about the machines and getting rid of the machines, the X audience is automatically cut by like 90%. So it's just funny. I mean, it's getting humorous. On that note, please, we need to grow our X channels. Go to CDM_press if you haven't followed us there. Please do that right now. Please do that. Same with YouTube. Please go there, follow, look in the, if you just type in CDM, it won't come up. CDM Press, it'll come up. Subscribe to our channel. Same on Rumble, CDM1 on Rumble. Really need the support on socials to grow those channels. Thank you. You saw a lot of Israeli tensions in the cold open. The elections are coming up in 2 months, approximately. And there's a lot of scrambling on the ground. Will Netanyahu come in? Who will Trump support? All of that. So big questions. Want to say hello to the crew in the chat. Thank you for the engagement already going. Check out Whatfinger, great aggregator site of ours. And Darlene Graham, she's a senator and she knows nothing about national security. At least she's admitted it. She's honest. I mean, how the hell do you appoint a senator who knows nothing about national security? These are the people that have to approve treaties and, supposedly approve us going to war. Just amazing, the nepotism and blob actions going on in Washington, D.C. Just amazing. A big show today. Also, you saw Japan and China is a big issue. That's continuing. That's another one we're going to watch as far as in the Pacific. So anyway, that's all going on. We got a big show. David Cross is coming on in the second segment. Georgia wants the machines back, but they want a different set of machines. So they spent, I don't know, $200+ million a decade ago buying Dominion. Dominion turned out to be corrupt, stealing elections, and they ended up selling it, changing the name, and even the CEO came out and said, same people, same agenda. That came out in emails. But now they want to get rid of a Dominion and buy ES&S, and that's going to fix the problem. So another few $100 million, somebody will get rich again, and Georgia elections will still be rigged because we have been after ES&S with Chris Gleason for some time as well. So that's not going to fix the problem. I want to talk with David Cross about that in the second segment. And then in the second hour, I've got an interesting interview from the Southern Cameroons on Ambazonia and its mineral wealth and how that can affect and help the United States in its quest for rare earth minerals. So, big show coming today. Let's do the mission brief. Today is August 19th. I'm your host, Todd Wood. Here's your mission brief. United Arab Emirates have blocked Iran economically. That came out after some ballistic missiles targeted UAE assets from Iran. So the United Arab Emirates has joined this blockade. That seems like, convenient for the Trump agenda, which, again, we want a good outcome. We were not for this war, but now that it's started, we want a good outcome for the United States and our children. Ukraine's Fedorov says new elections will give the backstory on that, because we've been on elections in Ukraine for, I don't know, a decade with our sources on the ground. Alex from Ukraine has talked about this a lot. Florida primary election results, we'll go through that. Cueta implodes, another European migration disaster, more destruction of the Christian culture in Europe. And Syria front and center, I want to talk about that, what's been going on in the last 24 hours. So big show. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back, and I've got David Cross, and we're going to talk about Georgia. What the hell is going on down there? Here we go. Be right back.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
The pandemic, we can never be caught unprepared again. And so many Americans, when COVID hit, they had nothing in the house. Stores were shut down, and doctors' offices were shut down. And even if doctors prescribed drugs, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, pharmacists wouldn't fill the prescriptions. That was a nightmare.
Now the situation is much worse. We have these horrible supply chain problems. In our emergency medical kit at the Wellness Company, we have 8 prescription drugs that are all potentially life-saving.
Most people who died with COVID, they died in the hospital because they didn't receive early treatment.
Every American family should have one of these.
I can tell you the Wellness Company kit is the answer.
With my 35 years of experience, our team at U.S. Asset Management can deliver professional investment management, financial planning to help you target your goals, and even specialized divorce financial analysis if you need it. We are here to help you make better decisions with your money. Call U.S. Asset Management today, and let's get to work in your financial future.
Welcome back to the SCIF. It's obvious we have a uniparty or some kind of entity running this country. The people are not running it. People are waking up around the world. The governments are not acting in the interests of their own citizens. And to continue that oligarchy and that oligarchic control, they need to control the selections. And we saw some of this go on in Florida last night in the primaries. But it's front and center in the great state of Georgia, my home state. And I want to bring in David Cross now, and we're going to talk about this new machines they're going to bring into Georgia to solve the problems. So, David, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So I was talking to a little bird last night, and she told me that ES&S is going to be selected instead of Dominion, and that's going to solve all the problems in Georgia. Tell me about that. What's going on behind the scenes, please, sir?
So during the most recent legislative session earlier this year, ES&S kind of snuck in under the radar, I guess is the verbiage I would use. And they basically came in and did a dog and pony show for our elected officials. And essentially what's happened is ES&S, I think, is being set up to have that contract. So now what's going to happen is we're going to have this performative art by these idiots like Max Burns, that he pretends to be all about election security and election integrity, and he's really not. People like to think that Max Burns is a good guy. People like to think that John Burns is a good guy. They're all about themselves. And what's going to happen is, as I said, we're going to see performative art where they're going to have a meeting, to discuss, the pros and cons. Okay, they're not going to listen to the cons. They're going to have another meeting to get public input. They're going to take it on a dog and pony show across the state. And at the end of the day, they're going to stamp like USDA approved on top of there and say, here we go. And what they really could do is just get some bumper stickers and slap them on top of the words Dominion voting and just call it a day. They could save us probably $200 million if they would.
I was going to ask you, what's the price tag? I mean, we spent 200 million plus on Dominion, right? So what is this going to cost?
It's unknown, but my estimate of 200 million is on the low side. It's probably going to be significantly more than that.
Wow.
And then one of the things that just drove me crazy was last week on August 12th, Brad Raffensperger launched a bipartisan, and for anybody who doesn't understand what the word bipartisan means, is like what it actually means is that you have people on both sides of the aisle that are working together. What it really means in performative political circles is bipartisan is a code word for you, the taxpayer, and the voter about to get screwed. Anytime you hear the word bipartisan, just think I'm going to get screwed, and all you got to do is tune in to figure out what they're talking about. But here's the crazy thing. The members of this election integrity task force are former Governor Roy Barnes. He's really, the guy actually yelled at me and said, "What do you think we should do? But do hand marked paper ballots with ink on our fingers?" And this was at the Atlanta Press Club over a year ago, and I said that is exactly what we should do.
Yeah,
and he doesn't think that. Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin is on there. She's really good too. Saxby Chambliss doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground when it comes to these machines. None of these people know anything about the machines. Roy Barnes will sit there and tell you that he knows. He doesn't know squat. All right. We're going to have former U.S. Representative Drew Ferguson's on there, election law expert Ben Ginsburg, former state senator Don Balfour is maybe I don't know, maybe he's the only person. I'm going to try to have a conversation with him. Joseph Kirk is Bartow County election supervisor, and he is the immediate past president of GAVREO. That's the Georgia Association of Voter Registration and Election Officials. Joseph Kirk, whenever you see Raffensperger talking on TV, you'll see this guy with this kind of cartoonish looking little pork pie hat on it.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Kirk has got his nose so far up Raffensperger's ass that he can probably smell his lunch. All right. We've got Nancy Borgen from Muskogee County. Another really good one. Terry Norris, executive director of the Georgia Sheriff's Association, and Eric Johnson, former president pro tempore of the Georgia Senate and chairman of Right Count Georgia. And what's crazy is that they're getting this. All these people that I just mentioned, or not all the people, most of the people that I just mentioned, Roy Barnes, Shirley Franklin, Saxby Chambliss, Drew Ferguson, they're all connected with something called the Democracy Defense Foundation.
Wow.
Innocuous sounds really nice, all right? Where they get some, where some of their funding comes from? Something called the Tides Foundation, which if you dig a little bit deeper in there, they get money from the Open Society Foundation, which is George Soros. It's just again, you hear the words bipartisan, you hear the word Raffensperger, you just need to cover your rear end and run for the hills.
So we'll wait on the money and see.
Enough.
But it's just wow. I mean, I didn't see anybody like you or Kevin Moncla or Rossi or anybody who's been fighting for years and knows this stuff inside and out on that list, right?
No, there's not a single person on here that has any firsthand knowledge about anything that has to deal with election machinery. I'm sorry, Joseph Kirk, we'll say that he does, but he runs election. He has no idea how the software works. He has no idea, how miscounts happen in his own county, in Bartow County. He fudged numbers up there where the numbers didn't totally add up right, and they had ballots inserted in order to reconcile in 2020. So it's all just a gigantic dog and pony show.
Well, especially after all this stuff came out on Venezuela. I mean, as you said in the beginning, it's just, take the name off, take the clip, the plate off the front of the company building and put the new plate on. I mean, it's the same software. Am I right? With Dominion, Smartmatic, ES&S, maybe some variations. I don't want to get in any lawsuit here, but is it the same software or not? Do you know?
It's all interconnected. I can't tell you exactly what's in the ES&S software, but I can tell you that two very important things that this election integrity task force is not going to take into account. One is what Elon Musk, the smartest technologist, of our, basically the Edison of our time, said we should not trust election equipment for handling our elections at all. Yeah. Right. That's Elon Musk. All right. The second thing that's happening is there's a kid, I don't want to say kid, there's a young man named Leopold Aschenbrenner that is immigrated from Germany. He is one of the thought leaders in artificial intelligence. And he's telling us that we are on the cusp of something called ASI, artificial superintelligence. And when that happens, basically the whole world is wide open. I mean, there were cold storage Bitcoin wallets that were hacked, for billions of dollars a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And it's all being done with supercomputers. And I'm telling you, I mean, if a financial advisor from Duluth, Georgia knows what the password is to the current Dominion system, I promise you, every single system out there is hackable. They've all got security flaws. None of it's secure.
We had a run-in with ES&S with our colleague Chris Gleason, who was FOIAing all the counties all around the country that were using that machine, and they literally sent out a blast to all their election administrators nationwide that use ES&S, don't respond to his FOIAs. I mean, directly. I mean, because so ES&S, I mean, I'll just correct the record. I don't know if they use the same software as Smartmatic or not, but I do know that they're vulnerable and that we should not be using the machines at all. So what do we do about this, David? I got some other things I want to talk about that before that, but what do you think?
I think at this point right now, short of burning down the Capitol, and I'm not saying that we should burn down the Capitol, all right? I'm just saying there's a level of frustration out there right now where, I think people are fed up. And I think one of the things that's happening in Georgia right now is there's a lot of people that have just kind of thrown their hands up and said, you know what? It's all rigged. It's all pre-selected. Yeah. I'm not going to vote. I'm encouraging people to vote. Even if you go out and you vote for only a couple people, on that ballot, it'll make it so that your vote can't be stolen by the wide open, elector list that we've got, and the ability to insert digital ballots. So please vote.
Let me ask the state election board. Dr. Johnson is gone from there. Do we have anybody on there who's good at this point that actually is trying to do a good job?
I think I can't remember the name of the new lady. You kind of caught me off guard here, but I had a conversation. I had a conversation with Dr. Johnston, and she said that this new member, she's excited about her. She thinks that she's got what it takes. It'll probably take her a little bit of time to get up to speed. I mean, I and some other people had, coached Dr. Johnston to, up to the point where she was really speaking out, and then she became extraordinarily vocal. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think we've got decent people that are on there. But the reality is the state election board has no power. They can't do anything. They've got no power. They've got no money. The governor has neutered them. The governor, Governor Brian Kemp, continues to try and neuter and make it so that nobody has any power except him. And he's gonna hate it, if we get Democrats, in power. Because one of the things that's kind of on my mind is let's assume that Rick Jackson gets elected.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm hoping that we have a Republican in there as lieutenant governor. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that we get a Democrat in there. All right. How old is Rick Jackson? I think he's up there. He's pushing mortality. He's led a rough life. What if he doesn't make it? What if he has some kind of cardiac event or something like that, or something happens and he can't serve out his term, and then all of a sudden,
boom,
lieutenant governor becomes governor. And if it happens to be a Democrat, then it's going to be full on, it's going to be full on party time for the Democrats. And there's going to be a lot of people down there. They're going to say, oh my gosh, where are we? Now, I've been told that Governor Kemp is going to preemptively have some kind of special session later this year to neuter the powers of the governor, just in case that happens. But we shouldn't even be in this situation, but we are, because we don't have free and fair elections.
So true, because it's all selected. And on that note, I've been told last night also that there may be a deal already cut between the Dems and the Republicans in Georgia, that they keep the governor and then in the legislature flips. Do you know anything about that?
No. backroom deals. No. That never happens.
Not in Georgia.
No. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't put it past anybody. But one of the things I can tell you is that I've been disheartened to hear that across the state, our county Republican parties, there's not a lot of people that are showing up and going to this. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that they feel like my election was rigged last year. And I think people just kind of thrown up their hands and said, you know what, if we can't win fairly, then maybe we just can't win at all. And I would rather just spend my energy someplace else.
Well, on that note, there's been a very sophisticated, in my opinion, effort, and yes, we have foreign control of our government, and yes, it's an issue, and it's not just Israel, it's Ukraine and others. But I feel like there's been a very intentional effort to divide and demotivate and depress MAGA and the conservative wing. I won't even say Republican anymore, because I don't even know what that means anymore. To not vote, to destroy the Trump agenda. Do you agree with that? I mean, I see it very clearly now as we're moving.
Oh, totally. I mean, like one of the things that blows my mind is that the more that you dig into politics in America, the more that I find like these, I find people that are just depraved, in leadership roles. There's accusations right now going on with Watley having, up in North Carolina, having, hired somebody that I think was a felon or a child molester or something like that. I'm still trying to get the details on that right now. And it seems like whenever I talk to people that are politically connected, I'm getting a lot of feedback right now where they're saying things like, can you believe how many gay people that there are that are in major leadership roles? And, I don't have anything against gay people, but you know what? Aren't gay people the minority?
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be like some type of, majority rule going on? But instead, we have just, even in Georgia, I've got my doubts about, about our current leadership.
That's a global thing. I mean, you look at Ukraine. I had a source who tried to get a job. He's a very sophisticated, intelligent, educated, accomplished man in Ukraine. And he tried to get a job in the government, and they came in, they saw his wedding ring and said, nope, you can't come.
We can't own you.
So, yeah. So that's a thing. And yeah, majority rule. On that, I've heard some weird stuff lately about and I won't mention names, but some sexual practices of some of the people in government in Georgia. I mean, I'm hearing things like, having one official watching the other, have sex with his wife, and this cuckold thing, and like, I mean, it's weird, and some women in the party like giving favors to other men in the party. I mean, what the hell?
It's
so, what I'm talking about.
So look at it like this. I mean, you've been in the corporate business world for long, probably as long as I have, maybe a little bit longer. And one of the things that I have seen is that with very few exceptions, leadership is sometimes maniacal. I mean, there are some people that you've met that are just full on crazy, and everybody around them tries to manage crazy, and it ends up, the organization, ends up, probably being, better than it wouldn't be without this person. But you can't always look at these people and think, oh, that's a fabulous person. There's a lot of crazy in leadership, and right now I don't think we need it. Right now I think what we need is calm, logical, thoughtful, ethical thinking. And right now I don't think we've got that.
No, we don't. And we need integrity. And I've been saying this again, it starts at home, it starts with your family, and then you move it to the local jurisdiction and then upward. But that's got to be replaced. And that's what's missing. Hey, I caught you off guard, and I don't want to, if you can't do this, but do you want to talk about your business a little bit? And
sure.
I know you don't have to go through compliance and everything, but tell us about what you do.
So I am a certified financial planner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a certified portfolio manager. So I got a lot of letters after my name, but I've also been doing this for 35 years. And anyway, the main thing that we do for our clients is people come to us with questions like, do I have enough money for retirement? How much money can I reasonably expect, in retirement in order to sustain me? And our job is to bring clarity to that. So we developed something called the Retirement Clarity Project, and it's all about answering those questions. There's so many people out there that are looking on the internet and they're seeing massive amounts of information, and it's overwhelming. And so if you're the kind of person that just says, I just need somebody to answer the questions and speak to me in plain English that I can understand, I think we're your person. I think we're the right people for you.
And for our audio audience, that's us-am.com, usassetmanagement.com. David, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate you coming on last minute. Caught you in the middle of the night. But
my pleasure.
Thank
you, bud.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me.
A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embra team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I want to just request that you sign up for our no ad subscriptions if you haven't done that already. Go to my.cdm.press, my.cdm.press. We offer a paywall that is just for reducing ads. So if you don't like ads on all the sites, you don't like video ads popping up on your phone or display ads as you scroll, you need to sign up for this. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. Most people just pay the 100, get it out of the way, and you're done for a year. But you get to access all of our sites with no ads. And we are bringing on a new ad provider in the next 48 hours. You'll start seeing different ads populate across the CDM network. And we had to fire our old one because he was doing things we didn't like. But anyway, that is going to happen. So if you don't like ads, you can support us that way and support free media and feel good about what you're doing and have great news at the same time. If you haven't noticed, we're putting out truckload of content every day. I mean, it's 24/7 now at CDM. We're just ramping up the content across all of our vertical sites and on the main site, cdm.press. So go to my.cdm.press and sign up for our no ad subscriptions. Let's talk about a few stories. I want to get these out to you. So the UAE has blockaded Iran economically. This is after a few ballistic missiles reportedly or allegedly targeted UAE assets in the Gulf. Iran is saying this is a false flag to bring UAE under the blockade umbrella of the United States. And Trump has said vocally now that they're just going to continue the blockade and strangle Iran economically. We like that option much better, as we've said many times, than a ground war in Iran. We don't have the force structure and we don't want the casualties. And we want a good outcome out of this conflict in the United States, though. We don't want our country to be harmed by this conflict any more than it already has. We didn't want this war to start with, but now that we're in it, we want a good outcome for our children and for the country. So that story is on cdm.press. You can find it there. More drama still coming out of the satanic ritual, which is the Ukraine war. Human sacrifice of 50,000 kids a month. Just insane. And former Ukrainian Defense Minister Umerov says it's time for elections. So we have been on this story for a decade. There is no constitutional barrier to elections in wartime. AI is trying to say that. That's not true. There is a law that was passed by a corrupt parliament after the elections were stopped by Zelensky, saying there can't be, but that is constitutional. It's an unconstitutional law written by an unconstitutional parliament who haven't had elections. And Zelensky has no mandate. His mandate ran out years ago. So it is a dictatorship in Ukraine, and Umarov is shaking the bushes by saying it shouldn't be a dictatorship during wartime, and we should have elections. That's obviously a good thing if it happens. They'll probably be rigged, but as they are across the world. But maybe this will happen. We don't know. And it could be just a way to rubber stamp the Zelensky regime by having corrupt elections anyway. Umarov, we know by our sources, is corrupt and a money launderer along with Zelensky. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black. But that's what's going on in Ukraine. We've highlighted over and over the possibility of a major war in Europe due to this conflict. We think the war needs to end. And let if you didn't watch yesterday, the process goes like this. Ukraine is using British weapons to very harshly and rapidly attack Russian targets across the Russian Federation, oil refineries, warehouses, etc., civilian targets. Of course, Russia is targeting Ukraine back. But in our view, Russia is going to attack the UK or European factories and supply routes with ballistic missiles or other types of target or other types of armaments if the Europeans don't stop pushing these weapons into Ukraine, which are attacking Russia. Russia said yesterday, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that we will respond at the right time. So Europe is vulnerable. So if that happens, it's NATO. An attack on NATO isn't an Article 5, which brings the U.S. into a global war with the world's biggest nuclear power. That is what's going on. That's what the globalists want. I think they want a nuclear war in Europe to reduce and erase the Christian civilization. I think this is all about depopulating Christianity and taking the land and putting something else in its place. We've seen this in the Middle East, and we're seeing it here, and we want this war to stop. So that is what's going on in Ukraine, along with Russia also coming out and saying, okay, you're going to seize our ships everywhere, we're going to seize yours. So this war is on the verge of exploding, and the American public and the European public, frankly, are sleepwalking through this, whistling past the graveyard, as they say. We don't want a nuclear exchange, guys. We want to stop this now. So this war needs to end. So President Trump, do not respond. Our advice is do not get involved in this conflict. And we don't want the U.S. in a nuclear exchange for sure. If Europe wants it, okay, but not okay. But, have at it. We can't stop you, but we don't want to be involved in this. So that is what's going on in Ukraine. And we have been on this story for some time, and we're sticking with our story now for a decade. On that, European destruction, Cueta is being destroyed. 80,000 migrants for a population of 75,000 or 90,000 migrants. The women are leaving Cueta. There's scores of rapes. The daughters are vulnerable, and the government is absent. Spanish government's on vacation, saying it's just a migrant problem that needs to be dealt with, managed, but it's not a national security issue. So you can read this article on cdm.press. It's just more of the same, migration as a weapon, which is being very effective in destroying Christian Europe with globalist governments in power. Syria, huge issue. Yesterday, we had revelations. The Syrian government released information on nuclear material that's been there for about 20 years since the Israelis destroyed a reactor in 2007, I believe. And the Syrians turned this over to the International Nuclear Association, IAEA, or whatever it's called. And also, we have, as we have been saying for some time, there's a war brewing between Turkey and Israel and the Sunni populations of the Gulf. Israel has said many times, many ministers have said Turkey and Syria is the next war. They are the enemies. And yesterday, Israel bombed a Syrian air base. They have bombed others before. And the reason they did that is because Turkey is looking to move forces into possibly these Syrian bases. So Israel took it out in a massive multi-wave attack, destroyed the runway. The U.S. government was pissed. The White House came out with a strong response against that. The Syrian ambassador and the ambassador to Syria, the envoy to Syria, and the Syrian ambassador, Tom Barak, also condemned it and said it's luckily it didn't explode into something bigger. So you have Israel acting, you have the U.S. unhappy, and you have a war brewing there, and you have Syria giving over its nuclear weapons. So a lot, or nuclear yellow cake, I think it was. So that is the next conflict. We're going to stay on this. We have sources on the ground. You're seeing a lot of reporting coming out of the Middle East for CDM in the mornings. That's our staff on the ground in the Levant, in Lebanon, and we're also, getting a lot of good stuff out of our European staff as well as our Asian desk. We have people in Asia feeding us stories as well. So you're seeing these across the network, and that will only grow as our infrastructure grows. And so we are the new wire service. Put us in your daily scan, cdm.press. That's the best thing you can do for us. Several times a day, just hit that cdm.press button and click on a few stories. All right, down in Florida, we had a primary last night. Big news. Vindman got destroyed by the Democratic Socialist. So you'll have Ashley Moody, who beat Chris Gleason, our good friend, in a we think a rigged election. But we've been reporting on that. But now we're into the general election. Vindman got destroyed, so it's a Democratic Socialist against Ashley Moody, and also Byron Donalds against a socialist in Florida as well. So that is what the Democratic Party has become. It's a communist alternative to the Republican Party. We will see. We'll stay on it. But Miami Independent is becoming the paper of record in Miami and Southern Florida and Florida in general. So very good reporting on the elections last night. So you can go there, MiamiIndependent.com. All right. Last one I wanted to bring to your attention is Trump said the Census Bureau found thousands of illegals voting, and they're continuing to look at the numbers here as we move into the midterms as to who is on the rolls voting. So the Trump administration is aware of this. We want much more action on the elections because it's been very weak. And we hope as we move towards the elections that we're going to get more out of this administration and more focus on what the American people want instead of just what the oligarchy wants. All right, we're going to take another break. We'll be back. Top of the hour, I've got Dr. Martin Mungwa from the Southern Cameroons, or Ambazonia, and is going to talk about that special broadcast exclusive to CDM. Again, global news without the globalist spin. You're going to get it here. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Every day, your data is being tracked, collected, and sold, often without you even realizing it. Big tech companies control your devices, your apps, and the information you share. From your messages to your browsing habits, everything is being monitored and stored. Over time, we've traded privacy for convenience, and most people don't even question it. But what if you could take that control back? That's where Mark 37 comes in. Mark 37 provides privacy-focused phones, laptops, and tablets designed to give you full control over your digital life. With secure systems, expert support, and simple tools, they make it easier to step away from constant tracking and data collection. Because privacy isn't just a feature, it's a fundamental choice. It's about protecting your data, your freedom, and your future. Take back control of your digital life with Mark 37.
And by the way, I wanted to say I'm starting my journey with Sean. I'm going to be getting a Ghost phone and then upgrading to a Ghost computer soon, because I am going to unplug for the Matrix. And you can follow me along on my journey. So mark37.com/CDM is where you want to go to do that. Find the webinar, sign up for the webinar, and learn everything you need to know to get started. And then you can also sign up for a free 30-minute consultation on privacy there at mark37.com/CDM. But I'm looking forward to it, and I have been worried about privacy for some time. So I'm going to be taking the plunge and changing my life and unplugging from the Matrix, and I'm really looking forward to it. So maybe you can join me.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and IRA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
Do you already have your investments with Fidelity? I'm David Cross with U.S. Asset Management. Did you know that you can assign your investment management to my team and put my 35 years of experience to work for you? You simply assign us as your investment manager and you keep the same username and password. Professional management, and you get to work with someone who shares your values. Call U.S. Asset Management today and put us to work for you.
All right, welcome back to the SCIF. I'm going to play a little bit of an interview I did with Emerald Robinson recently because I really want to point out what's going on with the elections. I've got about 8 minutes before Dr. Mungwa comes on, so hope you enjoy this and get something out of it, and we'll be at the top of the hour having a special for you that you're not going to get anywhere else. So here you go.
Welcome back to the SCIF. I was had a bad time with communications with Emerald Robinson the other day, but we're back, and I'm really happy that she agreed to come on and speak with us. Emerald, we were talking about John Solomon, and you had a lot there. I used to work for him. What do you see? I see a lot of subterfuge on the election machines. What do you see?
Yeah, well, let's look at his track record and his history. And it's interesting. You used to work with him. I had a brief stint of kind of working with him as well when he was he was probably still at the Washington Times, but he started the Venture Circa. Right, for Sinclair.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
I didn't last very long. I was working out of that office for a little bit. Yeah. But, I didn't think much of him then. I mean, I just didn't think about it. But it was really in the first Trump term, 45, when Bill Barr had become Attorney General, that he caught my attention. Remember, he was going on Hannity, Sean Hannity, almost nightly, with a couple other journalists, and Sean Hannity wearing his CIA lapel pin. And John Solomon was assuring Hannity's audience, which included none other than President Donald Trump himself, because Donald Trump religiously, I don't know if he still does, but I know at least up to 2022, he was still religiously watching Sean Hannity nightly if he was around. So I think President Trump was the intended target audience. But Solomon was assuring everyone that indictments were coming. He had told you he'd seen internal documents, grand juries had been impaneled. There was accountability coming. It was coming imminently. It was soon. It could be any day now. He did this almost every night. And I knew that as a White House correspondent in the Trump White House, who was there day in and day out, I was also extremely well sourced in the Department of Justice at the time, even under Bill Barr. I would go to lunch with my sources. I call up my sources. I'd meet with them. And no one could confirm this to me. No one could say that indictments were coming. Also, and I know that even when a grand jury gets impaneled, it's supposed to be top secret. In a city like Washington, D.C., and the political swamp, that doesn't remain a secret very long. Rumors start circulating. John Solomon seemed to be the only hearing or getting this information. Now, you also have to remember that John Solomon was very close to Carrie Kupak. She was the spokeswoman for for Bill Barr. Okay. She was so much more than that. Now, one thing my sources at the DOJ at the time would tell me is that she was basically like the top advisor. This young, very young woman, she might have been 30 at the time. This very young woman was really who Bill Barr listened to. Now, she went on to, she's now a justice editor at Fox News. Okay. She's also married to Keith Urban of Javelin, which is a kind of PR book firm that was responsible in helping a lot of these anti-Trump figures in the Trump administration, those who would kind of break with the president, get these huge book advances for books that ultimately did not end up selling, just if you want to know where she ended up. But Solomon has continued to remain a so-called conservative journalist. I knew then that something wasn't on the level because I knew that there were no indictments, and there ultimately were no indictments. But you know what it did? What his nightly reports on Sean Hannity did? It kept Donald Trump complacent. And Donald Trump himself thought indictments were coming, and they never did. And then they installed Biden in the White House. And you didn't hear much from John Solomon really after that. And let me tell you, they made him now the, you know, I was talking to someone else about this. Oh, this is the term of former intelligence person. They've made John Solomon the oracle of election, crime, fraud, security.
Yes, yes.
And he has not really had much to say about it since 2020. And he'll report on things like
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and Ira. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Welcome back to the SCIF. Thanks for staying with us today. I've got a treat for you now. We mentioned at the top of the hour we're going to have really an exclusive on an African story that you need to be aware of. The United States is in a race for critical rare earth minerals and other assets, other resources, other commodities all around the world. The Trump administration is searching for those that they can compete against China, who has really cornered the market. So we've got somebody who's going to really enlighten you on that subject and how we can use parts of Africa for this. Dr. Martin Mangwa, I'm going to bring him in now. Sir, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. I'm glad to be here.
First, tell us about yourself, so people who know who we're talking to here.
All right. Okay. Just mentioned, my name is Martin Mungwa. I'm a son of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, a licensed professional engineer, a fellow of the American Society of Civil Engineers, and author of Ambazonia 2050 and beyond. I'm also the Secretary of State, or the Commission Secretary of State for Communications and Diplomacy for the government in exile of the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So I come from Gokitungia County in the Savannah Zone, and I've lived and worked in the United States since 2001. So professionally, I have been a university lecturer and an engineer, and I've worked in business and utilities and major project leadership. And so I come here today on the podcast because our conversation has to move from what has happened to Southern Cameroons to what we intend to build. So that is very important, because I understand Southern Cameroons personally, and I also understand America professionally. So the central question here is, where can legitimate American interests and aspirations of the Ambazonian people reinforce each other? So that's why I'm here today.
Excellent. I look forward to the conversation. So America's had a strategic interest in a resilient supply chain, African markets, Atlantic security, energy and critical resource diversification, reliable partners and competition. In a world where China, Russia, and other powers are expanding their relationships across Africa, Ambazonia needs investments, technology, markets, infrastructure, institutional partnerships, and international engagement. How can we build that together between the two nations? What do you suggest?
All right. Okay. Southern Cameroons could offer America an opportunity for an African partnership built around transparency, technology, enterprise, and professional standards, and of course, local productive development. So what is critical here is that, well, one of the advantages, or some of the advantages that Ambazonia has, is that we have the geography, okay, we have the economic opportunity, we have natural resources, we have institutional compatibility, and you have regional connectivity. So let me go through these points, each of them. When we talk about geography, Ambazonia is along the Gulf of Guinea, and it has a very important or strategic seaport, the Victoria Seaport, what they call today Limbe. This can also help in the security if when working with America as a maritime transportation route, and also offer the opportunity for transportation of resources from the United States to Ambazonia and back. So when I talk about institutional compatibility, it's very important to know that we are an English-speaking country, and therefore we have a common law system, and we have a lot of diasporans, Ambazonian, the professionals in the diaspora, who can actually partner with America in order to invest in Ambazonia. Now, we talk about regional connectivity. Ambazonia is actually at the center of Africa. How do I put it? In the sense that it is actually from Ambazonia, the furthest parts of Africa, sort of equidistant from Ambazonia. So if you want to move from Ambazonia to the furthest parts of Africa, wherever you are, Ambazonia seems to be a really central to the continent, and therefore it actually provides a strategic location for America for us to do business. And when we also talk about human resources, we do have a lot of trained professionals in the United States, what do you call it, doctors, financial experts, teachers or professors, and so on and so forth. And these are all people who would like to collaborate with America in order to build the local economy. And that's where I think America can be of strategic importance to Ambazonia in a mutual sense, okay? In the sense that America can work with our local economy in order to build that sort of partnership that will enable America achieve some of its goals. We talked about, supply chain, to have a resilient supply chain in rare earth minerals. And I know we do have a lot of natural resources. We have energy, we have, a lot of forest and so on and so forth. And that these are all potentials that America can partner with Ambazonia and exploit for the benefit of both countries.
So you've spent some time and put a lot of effort into putting this on paper. You have a book out, Ambazonia 2050 and Beyond. Tell us about the book and what made you write it? What drove that?
Oh, thank you. I know, or we know, that independence alone cannot operate a country. Okay, so as an engineer, I looked at it from a different perspective. I looked at it as I look for the design basis. So if you want to design a structure, a system, you have to look for the design basis. Where is it going to fail? How can you fix it? So I wrote Ambazonia 2050 with this in mind. So I was thinking, how can you design a system that can meet the aspirations of the country? Not just a flag, not just an anthem. Okay, something that we can work on. You talk about education, talk about infrastructure, talk about energy, natural resources. How can you structure them in such a way that they're part of a system, not just like a white elephant project that we see all across the continent? So that's what actually made me write this book. And it actually addresses the problems that we'll potentially face when we get independence. So I asked myself, if for some reason, just imagine that today we're able to have our independence. What are we going to do tomorrow? Who's going to supply electricity? How are we going to collect revenue? How are we going to train our professionals? And so one of the key areas in the book is something that is very unique to Ambazonia, which many countries haven't looked into. Now, in the United States, we moved from STEM to STEAM. We've even gone further than that. Now we have STEAMers. And the ERA stands for economy, which means that we have to understand financial system. We've also added religion and spirituality, because religion and spirituality produce ethics. We need an ethical country, people who understand the rule of law, so that the law, we can cut down on corruption. At least by putting this curriculum in our schools, we believe that we are going to train better citizens for tomorrow. And I think a country that believes in the rule of law, believes in common law, will be a country that America wants to do business with. So we have created a system that we believe that is going to produce a much better economy for the good of both countries.
So many Americans probably haven't heard of the Southern Cameroons or Ambazonia. When did the problems there begin? And you've been critical of Britain's role. What role does the UK have in this?
Well, let me go back. The roots of this conflict actually started as far back as 1961 during the constitutional arrangement between under British administration, of course, where a much smaller country, Ambazonia, was actually made to unite with a much bigger and independent country without any constitutional safeguards if that relationship never worked. For instance, in 1961 plebiscite, we had only two options: either join Nigeria or join La République du Cameroun. And both of these countries are several times bigger than us. And I'm sure Britain knew that without any safeguards, something is going to go wrong. And indeed, something went wrong. So we had a federation in 1961. In 1972, that federation was dissolved without our consent. And in 1984, what happened? The French part of the country changed its name to what they were before independence. So we're completely erased, and we became just two provinces in a country that's not what we actually voted for. So we are saying that, I know Britain left, the trusteeship ended in 1961, but we can go back to the historical records and see what we can do in order to address the problem, because the problem is actually in constitutional order and self-determination. And that's what this problem is all about. It's not a language issue, because for a long time, the world is being told that there is a language issue in Cameroon. There is no language issue. It's a constitutional issue. And I think that it's quite possible that at this point in time, we can actually go back and repair that damage and create a much better society that can participate in world economy and not just another humanitarian case.
Interesting, because that's been obviously an issue with Africa. So many people are watching this and they're saying, why should the U.S. care about Ambazonia? I mean, what does Ambazonia bring to the United States?
That's a very, very valid question. I'm glad you asked that question. The United States should care about Ambazonia because a stable, democratic, and productive economy, of Southern Cameroons can potentially advance the legitimate strategic objectives of the United States, either in security terms or in commercial terms. So when you look at the geography, as I mentioned before, we are along the Gulf of Guinea. And what can America gain from doing business with us? We have a critical port. We are a major point where you can do business with Nigeria, which is a big economy, and other parts of West and Central Africa. So we are a key location. And the fact that we are English speaking, we have a common law system, which is compatible with American judicial system. And we have the potential for, you have some cities there, you take Boya, like a coordinating a city that will coordinate a lot of things, political and administrative and so on. You also have Tico, that can be an aviation and logistics hub. You have Bamenda, you have Manfe, so inland business can be done there. And of course, Victoria being a maritime center. So these are all the opportunities that America has. And I think America will be interested in a democratic and productive economy of Ambazonia. And I think that's a reason that I think America should think about, because all these advantages are there. I mean, America will look at them, and I'm sure that they're going to come to the right decision about it.
Well, China has been the big competitor of the United States in Africa. Obviously, there's a race for resources and human capital, as you said. How can Ambazonia help America, I guess, confront the Chinese, I don't want to say threat, but Chinese focus, mercantile type approach?
Right. That's also a very good question. Thank you for asking. I think what I would like to stress here is that America has enormous potential, and this potential can actually be used in order to connect with Ambazonia. Whether you talk about technology, you talk about professional standards, you talk about financing, funding, and so on. There are so many things that America can do in order to connect with us. I think the key thing here is, can we have a win-win situation? Can we create an economy that is productive, that is sort of circular, that traces that from the raw materials all the way to the finished product? Where do we come in? Where does the resources come from? The productive phases, and how do we transfer this the skills to the local population so that they can create more wealth and generate opportunities for their communities and the country. So if we rely on this, and of course try to capitalize on the strength of our judiciary, and also to see how we can strengthen the economy, I think there will be no reason to worry about other countries trying to come in and take over whatever it is. So it's all about how America engages with Southern Cameroons. I think it's a little bit, how do I put it? I don't think the question should be, oh, are we going to be a proxy of America against the Chinese? I think we have to create a situation where Ambazonians see the natural need to engage with America. And of course, there are lots of things that the Chinese have done that people are talking against. We know them all already. So that is not of any concern to us. But I think that when we engage with America and we can see the fruit of that relationship, there will be no question whatsoever about the Chinese coming to do one thing or the other.
Well, you have a government in exile. Tell us about that, and what is their agenda at the moment?
Oh yeah, the government in exile. Of course, it is headed by Dr. Samuel Ikomisako. I think it is what we're trying to do is to create a legitimate structure where we can be the interlocutor, okay, when trying to sit down and negotiate the independence of Southern Cameroon. So, of course, we have to be, of course, law-abiding. We understand the laws of the United States, and we make sure that all those who work with us understand the laws of the United States. We make sure that we respect human rights and the rule of law, and we want to be, and the relationship with other organizations, including the United States. And at the same time, we want to be the interlocutor to work with La République du Cameroon to come to a settlement. So that is the role we want to play in this conflict. Yes.
So there's a lot of, I guess, attempts to do what's right for your country internally and externally. But what do you need from America? Let's say if America brings an investment, how do you keep it from becoming negative to your system, like just foreign extraction of resources and control and not really good for the people? I mean, what should Ambazonia do before America can trust it to run its own internal affairs?
Thank you. In fact, that's the central theme of this book, trying to create a productive economy, trying to create a productive system, and trying to make sure that from the education through the judiciary, through every aspect of endeavor, we want to make sure that it is free, it is transparent, so that when we have foreign investors, they're not going to say, oh no, we don't want institution. We want the institutions to be more powerful than either the head of state or ministers. And what we put this in, I think there are 5 areas we want to stress on. We want to talk about constitutional legitimacy. We want to make sure that the rule of law abides, everybody understands it. And we want to talk about administrative efficiency. We want to create a civil service or an economy where it is the right people do the right job, and not to just let anybody do whatever they want to do. And we also want to work on the productive capacity. Our economy should be what I call circular, which means that when we get into business, we should be able to train our own workers to be owners so that they can regenerate wealth for the communities, okay? And we also want to talk about protection of the citizens. We want to a country where there's rule of law, where citizens are protected. That is very, very important. So there's safety, there's security, and so on. And finally, we talk about external relations. The relationship between Ambazonia and the external world or its partners must be done in such a way that we are a responsible government or a responsible country. So these are the areas that we want to put into place so that any investor coming to Ambazonia should be very confident that they will have the law on their side, which means they have the right to make money, to profit, and to be able to take that profit away. And to be sure that if there's any litigation, it will not be against them simply because they are a foreign firm. We are going to have commercial courts that will address issues that are specific to business, and we'll have to build that. And we may even build that with the help of America, because you have a long tradition of putting in systems and structures that will function. So we will need that help, and that's part of a partnership that we want to get into with America.
Understand. Thank you. Last question. If you had the opportunity to sit down in the Oval Office with President Trump, what would you say to him?
I will say to President Trump, look at the geography of Ambazonia. Look at what happened to Ambazonia in 1961. Look at the strategic location of Ambazonia, the Gulf of Guinea. Look at the natural resources that we have. And all we want from America is to make it possible for us to have a structured and negotiated settlement with La République du Cameroon, okay, without any preconditions, and with either facilitators or mediators that are acceptable to both sides. That is what we want from America, okay? We are not looking for some humanitarian aid. That's not what we're looking for. This is exactly what I would like to ask Mr. Trump. And when you look at the geography, and you look at the natural resources we have, and you look at the energy, and you look at the strategic location in terms of connectivity with the rest of West and Central Africa, I'm sure that Mr. Trump will definitely see the way we look at it right now.
Dr. Mungwa, thank you so much for being on today. Really appreciate your time, and we'd love to have you back on down the road as things develop.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Hope you enjoyed that unique conversation. That's the kind of reporting you get at CDM. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Global news without the globalist spin, as we say. I want to give a shout out to the wellness company, twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM. Use that promo code, you get 10% off. But we're in a time of danger, and you need to protect your family. So make sure you get those emergency medical kits, so you have what you need. So if you don't have to go to CVS or whatever, if there's some kind of new pandemic coming down the pike. So twc.health/CDM, promo code CDM, and you get the best discounts. We will be back tomorrow, 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on the SCIF. I got Pete Blaber tomorrow and others. Ukraine sit rep. It's going to be lit. Join us tomorrow. Thank you for today, and we'll see you. Take care.